All right, so let's talk about how it works when you're embroiled in a homicide investigation. Now, my situation is a little different from the Idaho 4 massacre because my sister was missing, and then we sort of slowly discovered that she likely was no longer living, and it was due to this person that took her life. We didn't know anything about him. And so first I'll kind of go through how I learned about him in the first place and then what happened immediately after. So we had a private investigator, and this must have been in late July. My sister had been missing for about 2.5 months at this point. I went and met with the PI in his office, and he mentioned this man's name. So after I left the PI's office, I called the lead detective, Stephen Baja, and I said, "Hey, what's up with this guy? What's his deal? Is he involved?" And he immediately asked me how I heard the name, and I told him it was from the PI, and he was not happy. Throughout my sister's case, there was a mole in the police department that was feeding information to the media. So I believe that the detective knew that this individual's name was going to be leaked pretty quickly, and he realized that they needed to make some pretty quick steps in order to secure what they had been up to, which again, I didn't know anything about. My family had no idea about. And he was pissed off that this information had gotten out already. So I go home, I look up this person. I'm like, if this guy is the last person my sister saw, there's no way she is living, just based on his record. So I was sort of preparing then to never see my sister again alive. The next day, we're at the headquarters where we had been having the public come for various purposes. And the media shows up and they start asking me about this guy. I had to play dumb. I had to act like I did not know who they were talking about, anything about him, and that my sister was still just missing and potentially living. And quickly after that, the police had to arrest him. Come to find out, the police had been tracking him for a couple months, like 6 weeks at this point. And they found out pretty quickly he was likely responsible from CCTV footage and a few other things. Lots of evidence that he had left all over the place. I'm not going to get into it now, but he was not a great criminal. And because they were afraid that he was going to run. He was working offshore, so as soon as he got back from being offshore, they arrested him. Now, after that, a lot of different things started happening pretty quickly, but we still did not know anything about what happened to my sister, where she was, any details at all. So they arrest this man. He starts to try to play dumb. They present all the information to him. They're like, "We don't need a body in order to charge you with the death penalty. So do you want to tell us where Mickey Shunick is, or do you want to go through the whole criminal justice system in court in order to see if you can be found innocent or not? But remember, here's all the evidence we have." And y'all, it was a lot. I mean, you can go and look up the story. It was terrible. Like, didn't do a great job. And so he decided to tell the police where Mickey was. Now, we were at the DA's office at this point, and they also told us that he was suspected of killing another woman, and they asked, "Would you be open to removing the death penalty if he shows us where your sister is and admits to the unaliving of this woman named Lisa Pate?" And we, again, had heard nothing about Lisa Pate. All we knew about this man is that he had recently gotten out of jail before my sister went missing, for sexually assaulting, RAPING, a woman. And we did get to meet this young lady and her mother, and she was a lovely person. She also was not told when he was let out of jail for her assault. Just FYI, you don't get told anything. And so, of course, me and my family said, yes, absolutely. Who cares about the death penalty? He'll probably get life in prison. We want to know where Mickey is. And we would also love for him to be caught for the unaliving of this woman, Lisa Pate. And so that's what happened. He leads the police to where he left my sister's remains. It's a place we never would have found her ever, no matter how much searching we did. It was an abandoned cemetery, and we're right on the outskirts of it. And he also admitted to the murder of Lisa Pate. And so her family was able to get some justice as well. Now, this whole time, we don't know any information. All we know is that some way or another, he encountered my sister and ended up taking her life. And it wasn't until after the hearings that happened took place, that the police were able to come to my parents' home and tell us everything that he said happened, that, came to my sister's death. And within reason, we accept it. You can't always trust everything that a person like him says, but within reason, we accept what happened. And my sister kicked his ass and fought for her life, but he had a knife and a gun, and unfortunately, at the end of the day, he used the gun, or pew, maybe I have to edit that out, the pew on her, and took her life. And so it wasn't until the case basically concluded within the criminal justice system that we got any information or detail at all. And even the detail that we got was not 100% everything, because sometimes it's just not necessary. I'm sure now if I went to the police and I said, I want to write a book about this or whatever, I want to know all the information that you possibly have about everything that happened, then I could find it out. But the family members involved in this Idaho 4 situation, including the living victims that had some witness to what might have happened, although they probably weren't really aware that their roommates were, I don't know what word to use, unalived in such a brutal and graphic way. They really don't have any information. They don't know anything about Bryan Kohberger, outside of what they've heard from other people, myths, rumors, little things that have been leaked here and there. They don't know anything. Everyone who's sitting there making up all of this stuff, thinking that these young ladies that are still alive were involved, other people were involved, he didn't act on his own, that all the evidence that's out there is all the evidence that exists, that is ridiculous. The people involved in the crime don't even have all the information. The only people that have all the information that exists right now are the detectives working on the case and probably the defense of Kohberger. If you're going to talk about true crime and make up all of these myths and rumors, but you don't know how true crime works and you're not a living victim or you don't have lived experience, all you're doing is hurting people. I don't know how else to say this. The public has to stop investing energy into making stuff up about these cases, because it hurts the case, it hurts the living victims, and it hurts the loved ones and friends of these people that were unalived in such a terrible way. Please, just have some respect and patience and let the criminal justice system do its job.